My timepiece shows us it was. Like to call this monthly meeting of the first meeting of order. Second on our agenda is roll call. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're one absent. Do we get the governance here this evening? I hope. So 6 supervisors, 1 absent, 1 absent for new government. Citizens' comments, or any citizens here who'd like to speak? This is, Mr. Rudd, maybe any topic you'd like. Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Approval of minutes for previous meetings. I have to confess, I have not read the minutes for these past meetings, so I should probably not be in a position to do anything to ask others for the approval.
I approve them. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion approved, Belsky and Decker in that regard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of minutes passed. Chairman, committee members, supervisor, youth and government comments. I have none at this particular time. We'll have to decide for our next meeting in December, the venue for that. But it may very likely be just regular Highway 1545. So come to consensus about that. Unless someone in the committee has a recommendation or preference we would like to future meeting, please advise me after the meeting, by email, whatever you'd like.
Would that fall on the 23rd then?
That I don't know.
December
I haven't taken a
23rd.
look far enough in advance. That would probably be a little bit,
Just the fourth. Monday, 23rd.
which is probably a little bit of an inopportune time. Let's just take a look at our calendar and see. I would propose it may be better to do it on the 16th of next month if we have agenda items. Do we know in Public Works if we're likely to have a significant amount of agenda items at this point? Too early?
Are there any grants that we're aware of that are
Yeah.
coming through for year end?
Any resolutions that you have?
No, I'll be honest, we tried, I remember, well, I'm not saying I didn't miss something, but the goal was looking at the calendar, that the 23rd meeting was most likely gonna get canceled. So I was trying to make sure everything was done at this meeting that needed to happen by the end of the year. So if you haven't, I mean, I'd have to look and see if there's something that I need. I don't see anything, but I know, we worked pretty hard to get through everything, so we need this meeting, knowing that likely the last meeting in December for the board of supervisors will be canceled as well. We try, you know. We did think it had a little bit, I don't think there's anything that's pressing, but if so, we'll let you know.
So if we have a meeting that's necessitated, it probably would be on that date. What did I say here, the 16th? Otherwise, we may defer entirely if we don't have agenda items. Let's stay as we're currently. Anything comes up, you can advise me. Take it from there. Committee members, comments, and we'd like to bring anything up, Supervisor Decker.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I like that. That's very appropriate.
A second.
Supervisors' comments, youth and governance, we don't have any, so I guess that passes. It looks like we're up to our standard division reports, facility division reports, Mr. Matt Storino.
No, presentation of comprehensive
Oh, I'm
site
sorry.
action plan.
The presentation, what's modified.
Yeah. So, Looks like we're on presentation of comprehensive safety action plan. So as you know, this Kenosha County, got a grant, it's called a RAISE grant, through the FHWA. And part of that grant funding, is to review the current roadways, within Kenosha County's jurisdiction. And develop a comprehensive safety plan. So we are here to present that plan and that report to you. So I'm gonna introduce, Darren Fortney and Josh Waller with, SEH. They are the consultant that, we as a county, contracted with to prepare the report, and I'll let them, give a small presentation on what they did, where we are, and what we found, and then obviously we can open up the questions to the committee after that. So Darren and Josh.
Thank you very much. Very excited to be here, and I'm Darren Fortney. This is Josh Waller with SCH. We're a firm hired by the county to work together with Greg and Joe and Shelley's team to kind of take a look at the county highway system. And do a lot of number crunching, quite honestly, just a lot of data. We looked at numbers, crash numbers. The latest 5 years that we had is from 2018 to 2022. There's also a little bit of a lag in the crash, because those are the numbers that we used. 19,000 crashes in Kenosha County during that 5-year period. 99 for 24 fatalities, 99 serious crashes. So it's obviously very important to you all and our constituents, neighbors. So we've been at this for just over a year now, working, and it wasn't just the technical data stuff. There was a lot of outreach and input. We first set up what we call a focus committee. And these were about 15 to 20 local leaders involved with different municipalities, jurisdictions, and they helped help us lead through the study. We met numerous times throughout with these local leaders through that focus committee process. We also had 2 local official meetings and 2 public meetings. We had a meeting with local officials and the public at the Recplex this July. And then this fall, we had another local official meeting and public meeting over at the county center building. So engaging not just the focus committee, but local officials, the public and whatnot. Joe did a nice job kind of broadcasting it out on social media and getting word out, and we had real nice attendance at those. We also supplemented, a lot of times people aren't going to necessarily come to you if you're having a meeting in, let's say, the Recplex or what. People are busy, especially in the summer. So we tried some new public engagement where we went out to where people are at versus having them come to us. So we went to the Wheaton Spaghetti Dinner, which was fantastic. Hundreds of people there, and we had exhibits lined up in the gymnasium, and people came up and provided lots of comments. We went to the Town Summers Community Day with all the fire trucks and the kids. We tried to compete with the German Shepherd demo that was going on, but I don't think we won with the kids, but we had a lot of people there and got a lot of input. And then we went to the concerts on the lake, concerts in the park on the lake, and lots of input there. So one of the things that you can do, which we did, was all these colored dots represent different meetings we had with people and various input that they gave us. So the thing that we like, especially about this, it's a wide range across the county, where it's not just focused in one area or another. So we pick our local potlucks around the county to make sure we're engaging as many people and cross sections of your community as possible. The final thing that we did, kind of behind the scenes, we did an environmental justice scan to make sure that there was an equitable and social aspect to the various projects and improvements that are needed. So that was all undertaken and overlaid with a lot of the data that Josh is going to talk about, just to make sure that whatever improvements are equitable to all people in the community. So I'm going to probably let Josh dig into a little bit of the analysis part and a lot of the graphs here. So
I'm just going to walk through some of these boards. These are all within the report, so stuff that you could look at a little bit closer up and start to see reflect here. But just kind of walk through the process a little bit. First thing I want to stress is this did not focus on every road in Kenosha County. It was the county highway system. It was an intersect with the county highway system. So you'll kind of see as we go through some of these, areas in the city of Kenosha where you're not going to see anything. That's because county highway system doesn't really extend the city of Kenosha. So you see blank areas, that's part of the reason why. So, some of the first things we did is the exhibit here is basically a heat map or a spatial look at all crashes on the county highway system. You know, or I'm sorry, Candace. What? So that's why I threw it. Sorry.
I'll be later.
This one is all crashes. So red obviously is a higher density. I don't think it's a big surprise to anybody that, you know, the higher population areas, the more dense travel areas, we're gonna see more crashes. So this, you know, a lot of this is just what we brought up. It's got nice colors. It was helpful to generate discussion with the public at meetings. One of the main focuses of the grant was to try to help the county achieve Vision Zero. So setting a goal for that. And as part of that, there's a focus on fatal and severe injury crashes. So as Darren noted, 24 fatalities within the 5-year analysis period and 99 severe crashes. So this is the spatial map kind of trying to show that, you know, with not as many densities still you see it here. And then it's spread a little bit more throughout the county, just as we get to submit the programs. So we're going to keep moving through these. So this one, it's just dots showing where all those severe fatal crashes occurred within this 5-year period. So kind of the tool that we use to look through that. And then another big component to this is VRUs, vulnerable road users. So you see that acronym within the report. So what that is looking at all users of the road. So, you know, obviously you guys have a lot of rural roadways, so bike pet facilities, more driven towards the suburban areas. But this is trying to look at how can we help to improve the facilities for all modes of transport, kind of a complete streets. Sure. So that again, you know, not a ton, which is good, but also could be partially because, you know, the facilities aren't fully built out. We could make it so that some people just aren't comfortable using the facility. So, I wouldn't say it's a full story, but it helps to tell us a picture of where some of the stuff is happening, helps us to look at it to see if it's correctable things through engineering or, you know, low cost countermeasures, things like that.
Scenes are all divided up by discussion, pedestrian, bicycle, fatal crash, severe crash, public crash. So it's still hard to see from the back, but those are all mapped as well. Part of this thing.
Then so then, you know, another step was how do we prioritize and where do we even start looking at crashes? Obviously, you know, Darren denoted it was 19,000 within Kenosha County. About 3,500 of those were on the county highway system or intersections with the county highway system. So what we had to do was figure out a way to prioritize, again, where do we start looking at this, right? You know, that's a lot of crashes to kind of go through. So what we did is kind of put together, just segment ranks, if you will, where we just kind of denoted, and this was set by crashes per mile versus per segments. And the red segments are showing where there was more crashes, in a lot of cases in the corresponding heat map over there. And then all the way down to 0 crashes. And we ended up ranking up every single segment, every single intersection within the county, and that's in the appendix of the report. And then this one over here is a similar situation. This one is just focusing on intersections themselves. So again, you know, trying to focus us in on where potentially there is the biggest problem. Then we look at those problems, look at the crashes to determine, you know, is it just the factor of there's a lot of people here getting less severe crashes, maybe not focusing, right? If we're trying to achieve Vision Zero, you know, let's try to look at that. And
So it's really looking at things, Josh, from 2 different perspectives. One is just kind of in that section, section of roadway, you know, where there might be vertical or horizontal curves, really no intersections, which would be captured in this one. And then obviously at intersections where a lot of crashes occur, we identify those as well. So it's a kind of a mixture of sections of roads and then specific intersections to make sure we're not missing it.
And I will say, as part of this study, if you go through and look at some of these other safety action plans that other communities do, they worded it as, this was the community making a commitment to safety. For Kenosha County, as we look at this last exhibit, it's more of a reaffirmation of your commitment to safety, because you guys have done a great job identifying issues, fixing some of those issues, trying to fix some of those issues. So this exhibit is kind of showing, again, taking a hybrid of everything else we've done and just rating out again where the most problematic crashes were by segment and by intersection, top 40 of each. And they're denoted on here, but within the report, you can see there's asterisks, and I think within the top 20 segments, the county has or will be, working on almost evidence. So again, where I say it's more of a reaffirmation. And part of the study is, again, like Darren said, to get a different look at it, to make sure that it is continually prioritized in your project selection process, and then to try to incorporate environmental justice, vulnerable road users where possible. So you'll notice in the report, if you haven't read it, there was a big talk about vulnerable road users. Even though there's not a lot of crashes, that's how, a lot of the disadvantaged populations might come and get to their businesses. So we try to focus on that, focus on the Kenosha County Bike Plan that's already been developed, and try to also tie that plan. So ultimately what we came up with was, it was 14 physical projects, some of them larger scale, denoted within the plan that obviously money doesn't grow on trees, so this isn't going to happen overnight. Set a goal for 2045 to try to achieve Vision Zero for preventable crashes. And then on top of that, we came up with 6 sort of general recommendations. One of the big comments we got back was speeding, reckless driving. Right? How do we try to address that? And Greg and his team and us have had multiple discussions on that. I wish I had a silver bullet in the back of my pocket and said, you guys do X, Y, and Z. Nobody's going to speed, right? It's going to be a constant battle. So what we had talked about is getting out and starting another education program to really make people aware of the impacts of speeding, what can happen. Kind of step one there. And then potentially start looking at some targeted enforcement over time. But obviously limited resources, right? Can't have a police officer sitting on every road. So there's that. There was a number of questions about traffic congestion, not necessarily just within the county, but where in summers people started talking about Microsoft and apartments being built on the northeast part of the county. So want to make sure that there is an open policy for traffic impact analysis that includes a safety review, all that works, and then the county does already implement that, but again, kind of reaffirm that focus on that. So those were, I guess, the big takeaways. Greg or Darren, that I kind of missed touching on anything, is there? Kind of zip through. So yeah, I guess any questions for me? Committee members, any questions? Go ahead, Supervisor Miles.
Yeah, I represent District 18, which is right on the Illinois border, right on I-94. I don't know if you have data about the origin of the people that are involved in crashes and how many of them are actually from out of state. There's at least a perception in my district that a lot of this traffic congestion on the southern side of the county is due to the influx of Illinois residents coming in and causing havoc. I don't know how true that is, but that's at least a perception along the southern part of Kenosha County.
So we did not necessarily dig into that information because there were driver's license too. We did not specifically dig into that information. I would certainly say that could be the case. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that are pulling people up from from the Illinois areas.
We want their money, so it's not, it's a problem, it's a good one, part of it is a good problem, but if there's anything we can do in conjunction with Northern Illinois, it might be worth at least exploring.
We did hear in that spaghetti dinner meeting, well, quite a few, a lot of anecdotal information, of course, but the trucks coming up, maybe, missing the weigh stations or the checkpoints, or just kind of trailblazing out through other local roads. At least two, if not three people had mentioned that will probably in your district.
Yeah.
Future, anything else? Thank you. Supervisor Dawson.
Is there any discussion with our state legislature to talk about instituting, kind of what some other states do with automatic ticketing? Because it seems like most of our accidents are speed related, inattentive driving. So has there been any discussion at the state level about putting in automatic, readers and issuing tickets?
No, and, within the report too, part of what, the recommendation is, Federal Highways does have proven safety countermeasures. Speed cameras are one of them, but unfortunately, the state of Marcos is not permitted by state statute. No, to my knowledge, there's not been any discussion.
Because that really, I don't see anything that is prohibiting or is encouraging people to drive the speed limits or to slow down. And that's, if you listen to the scanner, we've had so many accidents, high speed where they're rollover incidents. Something needs to be instituted at the state level for Wisconsin, in my opinion.
Anything for you? Any of the supervisors on this particular topic, right? I have a follow-up on Supervisor Meadows comment. From the data you were mining or taking a look at, is it were wanting to be determined where the drivers were coming from? Whether they were Commercial County residents or site Commercial County. Do you have access to that type of information? Could that be mined?
Yeah, so the information all comes from, basically all law enforcement submits their data to Wisconsin Tops Lab. It's basically a UW Madison, it's in conjunction with DOT. And you can print out, basically we started with a massive spreadsheet with, 19,000 crashes, pared it down from there. But in there, it's got, it doesn't have the names, you have to get the crash report, state the names, but it does that lists of their information. So it is something that could.
So I mean, that might be a topic of future conversations, to say, where are these drivers coming from? That if there is traffic incidents, speeding, accidents, what's the demographic? Yeah, go ahead.
There were several people in my area that actually recommended that we open up conversations with our sheriff's department, with Northern Illinois, and talk about the number of high-speed chases that come from Illinois across the state border, and what we do to actually prevent that, because that apparently happens way more often than we actually like. So yeah.
And to follow up on that, this is the top of the discussion. Director Bold is quite familiar with as well, State Highway 32, Cherry Road. Summers is made in the comment. Those results, they see themselves, they pass through the community, they see traffic, north, southbound, from the north, et cetera. Same thing, Pleasant Prairie, here as you see from the south at the north, correct? And it'd be nice to be able to do some, I would think, more assessment of that, so at least we know that the data is out there.
Now, I don't know if you'd be able to tell by the county with the license plate where it's from, or is it mostly just state? And I don't know, I just don't know, getting at, could you say like Racine County or Walworth County, or is it more like, I can tell it's from Illinois and Wisconsin, I don't know what breakdown we can get to with that data. And maybe, I'm getting at, I don't know, you probably tell license plate between Illinois and Wisconsin, but if you could say that Wisconsin plate is from Kenosha, Walworth, Racine.
Yeah. I can get back to,
Yeah,
I know, yeah, at least it does give the state, but the county, I mean, there is, likely ways to mine that further, it's just probably expensive.
So the data you're mining, is it just traffic in general, what we're speaking about, or would it be where there is enforcement that was involved, and actually do some contact with the motors? Which data set of mine?
Crash data,
That's correct, yeah.
crash data,
So any, you know,
so it's crash data.
crash data.
Yeah, so it's only when a crash accident happens.
Necessarily speeding.
It does not look at every speeding ticket or anything like that.
One question, on the preceding, on this easel right here to my right, the preceding page, can you take that one out for a second? So take a look at this, the dots actually represent the intersections. And the lines represent the frequency. Can you tell us just in your impression? And again, I'm just gonna make a statement, you're telling us this is correct, but incorrect. Intersections themselves have higher rates of crash than do the non-intersections, is that correct? So we have this information in front of us. Are we able to tell some type of a ratio, a trend, or whatever the case may be between the intersections themselves and just the road lanes and traffic? Can that be inferred from this data? So within the report itself, you know, obviously, when you look at segments, that does include intersections too, so it does get wrapped in there. So when we broke down the projects, tried to identify, you know, within the segments, if there were specific intersection issues too, so that they could be, you know, try to pick up the most problematic areas, intersections. So that was done within this. I guess the big thing I do want to stress is, you know, the set that data or target date 2045. This really is kind of a living document, right? We've got priorities today from 2018 to 2022. Those could certainly change in 5 years, right? You know, like I noted, even within our data set, the county was improving road use, right? Unfortunately, our project wasn't far enough behind that we could do kind of before and after analysis, but that's another thing that suggested is to try to kind of do that after you get enough analysis after the project's been built to say, okay, this countermeasure actually worked here or didn't really have the desired effect, right? So that's.
I would add to that, without that role, development employees, trucking, shipping, things are constantly evolving, you know, traffic patterns are changing. So that living document, I think it's super important to keep in mind, to continue to review, because it's very dynamic what's going on out here, all the massive growth.
Especially with Kias being stolen. You'll find a lot of crashes are Kias,
Crashes on what?
because they're being stolen at an alarming rate.
Oh. Their vehicle. Oh, thank you. I want to go back to the question I originally asked, and that is, either as a whole, these two documents here in front of us, can you give an approximate ratio of either the totality or per segment, different street intersection and non-intersection, is that possible? I do not have the report findings in front of me, but in there it does talk about specific locations about the crashes. It gives, you know, percentages that occur there. Within each individual segment, I don't have that, you know, right, handy, but again, you know, trying to encapsulate everything within there. If an intersection was the main problem of the segment, we try not to identify a whole segment to fix, just a little intersection. And then I guess one other note to make too is some of the high priority targets are not under the jurisdiction of the county. So there's a couple state highway intersections that are under top 10. So obviously, you know, someone outside of your guys' control, but identify those, you know, hope to use this document to work with the state to improve those intersections as well.
Your passions or?
Yeah, all that stuff, I think all the exhibits are in the report, that's in that link that I want you to email out. Yeah, I sent that out. And yeah, so obviously, you know, looking at this, you know, identifying those projects, it's kind of saying, okay, now when we start setting grant funding, what intersection do we want to go after and try to get? What intersection do we want to look at making improvements? And then as we look at reconstruction projects primarily, obviously, when we do resurfacing projects, we can look at a little bit limited in the scope of resurfacing projects to do a whole lot of improvements. But when we get into those reconstruction projects, it's really then looking at those projects, saying what kind of safety improvements should we make? What is being identified as a safety concern? and then try to incorporate those into them, but as you can see, like County Truck Highway H is one of the bigger red areas, right? That's that corridor of H. Well, H is a long corridor and, you know, funding to do some of that is extended, right?
What about 31
31 is the state highway, so we didn't
with
have
the intersections?
of 31 and,
150, well, that's a state too.
right, so anything on 31 is state, yeah, so
So
it's,
Summers really couldn't say much then.
right, so Sheridan and 31, I mean, right, L and, I think the highest ranked intersection, if I remember right, was Washington Road at 31, right by Walmart. Unfortunately,
That's not.
well, unfortunately, we as a county can't do much. Fortunately, when the state redid Green Bay Road, they did do some intersection improvements at that, which one has been reflected in this crash data, but if we look at it in 5 years, maybe we can.
But L is a bad one.
L and 31, again, it's 31, so at the end of the day, truly the higher classified roadway takes jurisdiction. That is a state jurisdictional roadway as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, when we see those things, you know, hopefully we can work with our partners at the DOT and say, this is what we found, right? You know, if you start identifying this one too, obviously, they're looking at it at a state level, not just their county level.
Right.
Further follow-up or questions on the report here? In terms of the crashes, of course, vehicle to vehicle will crash. Single vehicle could be a crash running off the road. What about anything, car, pedestrian, car, bicyclist? Is that considered a crash as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's included in it.
The only things that we excluded, so there are no near crashes, included, something like different issue. So anything that's a vehicle to vehicle run off the roads. And I will say, I guess one more thing to add, looking at the fatalities, you know, obviously that's one of the main things we were targeting. So we went and looked at each of the sites where they happened. In a lot of cases, it's just a straight piece of roadway. There's not a whole lot that, you know, we can do. It's fortunately there's the majority of the fatalities were drivers under the influence in this case. So again, something we talked about was just furthering the education more on that, different partner agencies.
And we did a staff meet with the sheriff and the captain, kind of during this process and saying, hey, you know, we can look at roadway design stuff. That's kind of our side of public works. Is there certain things you can do on design wise and intersection design to help these? But also, what can we work with them on enforcement and education and that kind of stuff? And we kind of came up with some very preliminary ideas that I want to really say publicly what, you know, where we are, but just, we've started to have those conversations, and it's tying also in with, you know, the state is doing a lot with, you know, put it down, what, click it and take it, and then there's a put it down, right, put your phone down, and something else. I can't remember, there's another slogan, but tying in with some of that and just maybe, you know, utilizing some of those resources and what they're already doing and maybe just keep not force feeding, but educating that way. And then coming with some new ideas, maybe just here in Kenosha County that we've thought about to help that. You know, everyone says, well, enforcement, well, obviously enforcement, but I don't tell the sheriff department what it says. I never will. That's their job. But obviously they've got a lot of work too. They've got a lot on their plate too. And they're gonna make priorities as to what they feel is most advantageous for this.
Okay, anything further? Thank you very much for your report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And if there's any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me and we can get to them.
Very well.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good day.
Agenda item number 2. Mr. Master.
Thank you, Chairman Grady. Attached in this month's report is a summary of our focus on energy credits. Typically, I send this out as an annual update, but this time we went back to 2017, kind of give a good long snapshot of of what our payback is with the investment of the energy reduction fund. So looking through this, one thing to keep in mind is that this summary is only based on those incentives that were directly paid back to us in check form. So this doesn't calculate any of those projects that were not included in those focus on energy credits. Like if we have a custom made fixture that doesn't apply for a check back from Focus on Energy, we still get the energy dollar savings. For example, these lights in here were done through energy reduction fund. They were high pressure sodium bulbs that were 500 watts a piece. Now they're LED and they're 100 watts a piece. So we get that savings. We just don't get a check back from that fund. So those numbers aren't reflected. Just going through it, total incentive amount, $100,000, 943 paid directly to us. It's just a fantastic number. Term saved for some of the energy savings through the boiler upgrade since 2017. Those projects directly reflect some of the boiler upgrades at KCAB, Job Center, and at Public Safety Building. And then the big number on this is the $158,095 annual utility savings. And that number is going to keep going every year back into our pockets. So was there any questions on this report?
So just repeat that number again for us, the annual savings, you know, how much?
It was $158,095.
So is that basically reduced utility, specifically electric cost because the lighting is now more efficient currently than it has been in the past?
That is correct.
And also there's less thermal load due to LEDs not emitting as much.
Yes, that is correct as well, especially the sodium, high pressure sodium bulb give out enormous amount of heat. So there's some savings there.
The color's a little bit wonky on those as well. It's kind of a nuclear orange glowing type thing. And most of it's not really
Right.
that probably so much.
Yeah.
Much more efficient product. Questions on focused energy? Jimmy's doing focused energy for years and years now, 20.
So there was an energy team that we had put together before I was in this role, but as an HVAC technician, starting back in 2015 with UW Extension.
Okay.
So going all the way back to that.
Questions on focused energy? Carry on.
Well, for my report. We have a few updates. One project in particular is the parking lot at KCDC, which came in through so fast, it wasn't even on last month's report. So you didn't get a chance to see that one, but it was completed Saturday, striped and done. So that project is completed. We completed quite a bit this last month. The 16th Street Tower is completed. Entrance for a KCAB, the concrete work is completed there. There's a couple of cracks in the concrete, but we did get a warranty on that work. So those squares that are cracked, if you've seen those coming in through the entranceway, those are going to get replaced in the spring of next year. And those are just a few updates. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
How could they get, for the PHC bathrooms, how could they get the shower hands not in properly? How does that happen?
They were not set plumb and level, and there was kind of a back and forth between the plumber and the manufacturer on whose fault was it, why they didn't set properly, but water doesn't lie.
No,
it's
especially when it's
level.
going into the changing room, right?
Yep. So the contractor was fair. They're gonna redo all the work at no cost to the county. So just a little bit of a delay, but no charge to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Further comments on this aspect? Courthouse south entrance ramp, that's going to be next year, start construction.
Correct. Yep.
The tower's done, KCDC parking lot's done. Are we gonna have additional phases for KCDC? The parking lot's open?
We will. Yeah. So I just labeled this one phase one. most likely, I see this being 3 phases. We do have some asphalt parking lots, asphalt roadway, and some concrete work to be done. So probably 3 phases total.
Anything else for Mr. Storino on this particular phase, facilities division operations? Seeing none, thank you very much for your report. Appreciate it. Item number 3, facilities division special report projects. Chris, are you taking this for Frank?
Yeah, I talked to Frank, Friday, knowing he was gonna be here for the meeting, just asking if there was any updates to the report that he laid out, and he said he had none.
So just looking at the special reports in front of us. Brookside, we've got the shingle roof replacement. And that's still ongoing, is that correct?
To my knowledge, yeah, there should be a couple of weeks left. I think it's supposed to finish up in December, but it should be pretty close to finish.
I think the majority of these we've seen in the past are ongoing ones that don't seem any different to me looking at them. As the committee members pass through the page through these questions, comments on any of these things. Very well. On to item number 4, Golf Division, Mr. Jim Wallace.
Thank you, Chair Grady.
Thank you for your report.
I'll run through the highlights here. Obviously, our ground total has exceeded anything to my knowledge that the county's done past. I think it's important just for us to do that. You know, the last 4 years have been unprecedented golf and, 100,000 is very. When we're here in August next year, and I say we're behind the pace, well, we're behind the pace. We tend to compare to the previous season. And everything was rosy this season when you consider we opened for 2 weekends in February. So, weather was a big factor in the end, as I stated. We really lost maybe 1 weekend total to rainy weather this year. So a lot of things were in our favor this year, not to mention the fact that golf is very popular. So you combine that with a year of good weather and you get a year like this. So we're very fortunate, but also mindful that this is an outlier, and obviously we hope it continues, but this isn't what myself and staff expect every year. We're very happy that we were able to provide that much golf for folks, both residents and visitors to our county. 100,000. That being said, the golf courses are closed. Gun deer season started out in fall on Saturday. So obviously we're going to keep that close from this point on. If we see really, really good weather in February again, we'll be prepared to open 18 holes at Brackendale and accommodate some golfers if that's the case. But golf simulators are set up out of Brackendale. They look great. So I will be posting some stuff on social media. We've got a league of about 80. It's pretty busy, so that's really, really good. The restroom at Petrifying Springs was delivered and installed today. Actually didn't do a whole lot of damage. A couple little ruts that are out of play that we can fix pretty easily. We might have to borrow some heavy rollers from Greg and the guys, but went really, really well. So that's in. That team's back, headed back toward Idaho where they came from. So we're very happy to have that, the hard part behind us on that. The Red Pines project, the contractors out there today trying to button up a few punch list items. They expect to be done by Wednesday as well. So I'll be happy to look over the last invoice from that Red Pines project. I'm actually putting a summary together for Shelley on that right now as far as goals in the project with some photos. So I'll share that with everyone once that's completed. So I know Wyatt has this in his report as well. I just wanted to introduce this. Nothing has happened on this yet, but on Rochester Lateral. So We Energies has reached out to us in regard to this Rochester Lateral Main project. where they're trying to connect some major, gas lines to provide the Oak Creek plant, to make sure that they're trying to build the resiliency of that Oak Creek plant. Does everybody remember, I think it was 2023, right on like Christmas Eve, We Energies told us all to turn our heat down. I know that happened to me. So I think they're trying to build some resilience into their system and they want to run another gas line to supply that Oak Creek plant. And they would like to use, the intersection of 75, what is eventually going to be County Road BD and BG right there at the top side of Boston. This has really no effect on golf, but it does have effect on parks. So, they met with us and Shelley and Andy Bueller, planning and development, and, sort of introduced this to us. And we basically said, this isn't our decision, we'll take the information. The county exec is in discussions with We Energies, and obviously anything that happens will go through this committee, as a county board. We just wanted to put it out there that we've spoken to them about that, and we'll pass that information along as it comes in. So if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to answer the small part. I know, like I said, it really had no effect on the golf cart. We put together like a little wish list that I wouldn't mind a light at the entrance to Brockdale. It's pretty dark out there. And why it would affect one trail out of Brockdale Park. It's a pretty utilized park, so.
That's where they want it, is up at the corner, the northeast corner of Brockdale. But, I did bring the presentation that they gave to us, so if anyone wants to see it, I can pass it around.
Yeah, we may have that electronically.
Yeah, I can send it out to anyone who wants to see it. It's pretty short. It was really just an introduction to the idea, and you can see what the above ground equipment and so forth, all would look like.
So the county exec just wanted to make sure this committee was.
So is it likely that this will have to have some type of a resolution before this committee, before the county board, if we're doing an easement, that type of thing?
I would assume so. You guys are more experienced in that realm than I am. I assume, it'll start with the county exec and she'll make a recommendation based on the discussions with them. I assume that it comes to.
So this is just more of a state posting type thing?
Yeah, just let you guys know what's going on. If anybody has any questions or input, I'll be happy to look into it. That's what we're going to say.
Questions or comments from Mr. Wallace on the golf operation? Go ahead, Supervisor Dawson.
I'm just curious, Jim, how long did it take the diver to find the hole on the intake rig?
Oh, down at Petrifying Springs in the pond?
Yeah.
Not that long. They were in and out in a day.
Really?
Yeah, I believe that company's been down there before. It's a good practice every 5, 6, 7 years because multiple sediment will build up around that. So they, and he sent us a map. They did like a LiDAR map. So he had a pretty good idea where it was before he ever got it.
Oh, okay.
Rumor has it that pond is pretty deep. I didn't get the exact depth, but that pond underneath 18 there, at Pets, it's pretty deep. Have you heard the same thing, Doc?
I have no reference point, no.
Rumor has it that pond's pretty deep, so, I don't know. I'll have
They
to,
had to bring a camera.
yeah, I'll have to see. Well, they did. They've got some stuff, so I'll have to look back into that and see what, I just wanted to make sure the irrigation pumps were okay. That was my big priority, and that's more sucking sediment up through our there. So once I heard that there was a little breach in it, they fixed it, I was happy, but I'll look at everything they sent me and let you know.
Okay, just interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fun job for a day or two, until it's 35 degrees.
Comments or questions from Mr. Wallace? Congratulations on a successful season. It's one thing to get business to come to your facility. It's another thing entirely to have that business satisfied. You do it in a manner which makes the public want to come back again. So it does not go unnoticed that the playing conditions are very good. I play out there weekly in the league. And of course, it's a lot of play, Petrifying Springs, but due to a whole variety of things, it's very well maintained. Well, the public realizes that there are other, Osceola County courses which have not fared so well, the process of being closed down, selling, whatever. But here we have a great success story, so.
I think we should have one of our meetings out, at, one of the facilities so that we can see the simulators.
We should.
Yeah.
We do that. Maybe that'll be a springtime thing to put it in the docket for January, February, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably come down in March. I honestly don't know if there's room to fit everybody with the 2 simulators in there. It's pretty big. I don't know, I'll have to look, we might be able to do something.
Might be standing room only, bring your putter.
Nice.
Very good. Thank you for your report. Much
Thank you.
appreciated. Who's up next? Is it Mr. Wyatt Moore?
I believe so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just a few updates on projects that I've brought to the committee a number of times. So the first one, kind of jumping off of the roof repairs that are happening here. So as soon as they're done here, they're going to be going to Bristol Woods Park to work on Cradle Nature Center. I had a meeting already, the pre-construction meeting with IRS. His name is Dave Mango. He's overseeing that project as well as Kemper Center. So that is done. When we spoke at Pringle, they said they would be finishing up here sometime this week, if not next week. So if they do finish this week, they'll be starting at Pringle the first week of December. That's what we're hoping for. I did speak with, shifting gears into Kemper Center, the folks at Bay Nelson, they just finished the door. So there's the 70 gymnasium door. We've been trying to get that, made for over a year now, or almost a year at least. And we went through one manufacturer, they were taking a little bit too much time, so we got in touch with the contractor who was going to be doing the install. And they went with another manufacturer who was able to get it done. So they did call me last week to confirm everything. I've been bothering them to get that done on time. So thankfully, they understood the urgency and they should be coming out very soon to do that part. Speaking of Kemper Center, it's not in the report, but we are going to be doing the lights in the gymnasium as well. I talked to Mike Woodward from facilities, and he's going to be coming out sometime that first week of December as well. Rather than adding light fixtures, which we initially talked about, there's a few that are out. He's going to go through and replace them all with LEDs. So
How's
that
he gonna-
hopefully will make it brighter.
How is he gonna get up there?
We have scaffolding coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when is that gonna be set up? Because, Gallery of Trees is that first week in December. So, it's a very busy time for Kemper.
Okay. Well, we can do that really anytime. When I talked to Mike, he said he had a pretty open schedule. So if that first week of December doesn't work, we can look at it at the time to do it. We're just trying to get it done soon so that it's happening.
Check with Robin as long as it's before the weekend of the 7th.
Okay, it should
That's
be.
their big weekend.
We're looking at the 4th right now.
Okay,
I did talk to Robin. I called her on the phone and let her know we're looking to do this, and she was very excited.
Okay,
So
good.
She didn't mention any issues with scheduling, so I'll follow up with her again once we have. the full-
as long as, if you checked with her, that's good.
Okay, sounds good. So we had the Midwest Interstate Trail, public information meeting on October 28th. So we did have some folks come out and join us, and they voiced some concerns in the southeast corner of that trail. So there is where the Kenosha County pit is and the Thielen pit. Part of this trail is supposed to be connecting along, beside both of those properties as well as, the neighborhood there. The folks in the neighborhood had concerns about noise pollution as well as potential for inviting more people into their community. So they asked us to look at alternate routes that would instead, and I brought this as well, if anyone would like to see the map, that would instead bring you through the Kenosha County pit and the Thielen property, seeing as they're both just about done being used. We worked with Dan Shepherd over at Thielen, and he thinks that would be possible. So we're entertaining both just to see if we can try to make everybody happy, but nothing has been finalized on that one yet. Shifting gears into Petrifying Springs Park, we just put up a new fence near the barn area there. If you've driven through the park in the last couple of decades, you see a big red fence along the barn area there. We have a newer fence there. We've been doing a lot of shop improvements back there, going through a lot of our materials, having that auctioned off and getting anything salvageable out of there. So you see the nice green fence over there, that's part of the project. So that is complete, as well as floor coating for all of the bathrooms at Petrifying Springs Park. Well, we started with this two, the one at area number 2 and at area number 5. So it's a Linex coating on the floor. It's much easier to clean. It also looks a lot nicer even if it does get dirty. And the grip is much better as well. And also at Petrifying Springs Park, we're going to start working on the RFP documents for Pike River Phase 3. We're very excited, ready to get that one underway. Talking just a little bit more about Pringle Nature Center, they are proposing some rental rate increases for their building. So it's not finalized yet. What we're looking to do is modify the agreement that we have with them to take some of the rate specific language out of it. Because right now, if you look through the agreement, it has listed in there exactly what they can charge for these rental prices. So $50 an hour or $50 a day for the stage. So rather than have it be specific, if we need to make any rate changes, what we're trying to change it to is that then we'll have to submit it on an annual basis to get it approved, much like we do with all of our entry fees. So if we get that amendment pushed through, they're looking to increase, and I put the rental change, the rate changes in the report here. They're changing usually from, so if we go to building rentals from 50 to 75 an hour, and the stage from $50 a day to $75 a day. So they're trying to moderate their rates so they can. Let me find another way to word this. They recently went through a pay increase for their executive director. So they're trying to be compliant with the name of that law as well.
It's a federal law for, I
Yeah.
think you're following it.
Right. So in addition to increasing the donation that the county usually gives to Pringle, they're also going to increase their rates as well. They supplement to try and hit that number so they can be compliant with that law. And shifting into staffing, Parks is now fully staffed. We can say that with confidence now, thank goodness. So we hired, his name is Sam Semke. He was hired as a seasonal this past year, and he showed us a lot of dedication and a lot of really excellent work ethic. He also went out and got his CDL, which will be a great use to us in the winter months for plowing. And just to touch on the Rochester lateral, what we did ask for from Parks was if We Energies is interested in taking over that section of the park, either to support us with trail work and rerouting the trail that it would interrupt, as well as potential playground location. So we'll see if that goes through. The only other thing I have on here is the tree lighting this Saturday, 4:30. Come and join us at Petrifying Springs Park. I will not be standing much. But we do have Santa and Mrs. Claus coming and live.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Where
great.
is that at specifically in Putz?
So if you go to the beer garden and you're looking at the restroom facility, as you come right off of JR, on the right-hand side, it's gonna be off to the right. So you're going to see a number of smaller pine trees as well as the big Parks pine tree that we had for the first tree lighting last year. And what you'll actually see over there in the area we call the Christmas area, through the new archway that we just had put up over there, is trees that have been designed and decorated by some of our other public works departments, facilities, highways, well,
Are you having internal pine sets?
yes, we are. We're
Awesome.
making a trophy. It'll be like the Stanley Cup. If you win, you get to keep it for that year. Yeah.
Except they waited until everyone else's was done and then they're there. So.
We're not in the competition. Parks is kind of the main tree. And that's all I have for you guys. If anyone wants to see any of that material, I'll bring that along as well. Oh, you know what? But I retract what I just said. Thank you, Greg. I did bring the park entry fees to submit. I did not propose any changes for this year. The only small change you will see to the document itself, and again, I can pass this around later on as well, is we had a few people call in that the 2023 or 2024 document had some confusing wording about whether or not entry fees were required at beach or just the entire park for Silver Lake Park. So we went through and we sent it through several checks to make sure it was much clearer this year. So people understand that on the 4th of July, you pay to enter the entire park at Silver Lake, but on the 3rd, you only pay to enter the beach. So there are no proposed changes to the entry fees themselves, but just that.
We need a motion to approve.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. None. Passed unanimously. And that's for the fees for 2025. Phil.
Yes, sir.
On the building rentals for Pringle here. The last paragraph says overnight fees are changing to variable depending upon intended usage. Can you elaborate upon that?
Yeah, there've been a few instances where sometimes folks just want to use the restroom itself and not the entire facility. So I think they're going to change it to basically tender more to what the renter is looking to do. So if you want to do things like programming, that might cost more. If you just want to use the building itself for overnight rental, that would before it was 300 per night. I think they want to change it so that they can have autonomy over whether you're using just part of it or the entire thing.
So is that the only facility that has overnight capability is Pringle?
At Bristol Woods Park, yes, there is the overnight lodge at Foxford Park. That has overnight capacity as well, but that one we do not charge rental fees for. We make that available only to nonprofit organizations. And folks who use it the most are the Boy Scouts, so they do a lot of overnight camping there.
I did not. No, see, recently,
And it's open to any nonprofit. The Boy Scouts are the ones that know about it. And I think they like that not very many people know about it. So if anyone has a nonprofit organization looking to do some team building, it's free.
So we can form one, we can form.
And it has bunk beds. But in there, I think off the top of my head, there's at least 15, there's a lot. There's a whole page for it on the website that, you can actually go on YouTube. We kind of had a little laugh about it. We found an older video. I think Joe Potente might have made it with Matt Collins, where Matt's giving a tour. The reason we had a little laugh is I don't know if Matt knew he was recording right away, so there's about 10 seconds of dead air while Matt is just waiting to go. That was it. But he does do a very good comprehensive tour of the whole.
Accommodates up to 22 visitors.
There you go.
Webpage.
Very well, good report, thank you for that. Questions or comments before we dismiss Mr. Moore? Thank you, Wyatt.
Thank you. I have everything here if anyone wants to look at it, the rental rate changes.
We have it online, the rental rate changes.
Oh, yeah, it's also in there. Yeah. And then, of course, the fees are here as well, and information on the street lighting and the public information meeting. Anyone who'd like to see?
Very well, thank you. I think we're on to item number 6, Highway Division, Mr. Gregory Bowles.
Yeah, so the first item on mine is a resolution to approve a property acquisition associated with the Dutch Gap Canal Bridge. So this is the Dutch Gap Canal Bridge is on County Truck Highway WG. So what this is there's a small kind of remnant parcel that the property owner owns, just kind of it's actually kind of borders the state of Illinois, and south of that is Illinois. It's not his property. It's just kind of a triangle piece. We needed to purchase some of the property in order to perform the project. He is looking to, lack of a better term, donate the rest of the property to the county. We're purchasing it for, because you can't truly donate, it's a down payment. So we would recommend approval of that property acquisition to the property owner associated with the Dutch Gap Canal Bridge.
Let's do a motion to approve first, and we can have discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second. So Decker, Meadows, and I order for approval in second. Now discussion in that particular item. So this is really more of like a housekeeping type thing.
Yeah, I mean, it will give us some property, right? So it is coming through us. We will get another about ½ acre of property. But it really doesn't, the homeowner or the property owner doesn't really see any good to him. And so he was like, but we could, unfortunately, the way the process goes, you can only go after the property that you need. You can't ask for the whole piece. So we could only really negotiate for the piece that we need, and he was willing to donate the rest of it. So that was a fair deal.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you.
The next item here is a resolution to approve the plat and relocation order for County Truck Highway W roadway improvements. Again, this is County Truck Highway W from the Illinois state line to County Truck Highway C. Associated with that project is a multi-use trail, some roadway improvements as far as cutting some hills and changing the curves. With all of this, that does mean we do have to acquire stuff. There's 3 types of property that we need to work with the property owners for. Some of it is called fee when we actually buy property, so we will actually get right away and purchase it. Permanent limited easements are typically around storm sewer outfalls where the property owner will own the property, but will have a right to enter it, or our facility will have a right to be on it. And then there's temporary limited easement, which again, we have to pay for a little bit to that property owner. However, when the construction project is done, they get it back. So we'll make some improvement, typically like grading or that kind of stuff. We store it, and then that property goes back to the property owner. So the real estate acquisition has been budgeted for in the 2025 CIP. So that funds are there budgeted. So then what this is, they're saying, yes, this is the property that we're gonna start negotiating and then allows, myself, Shelley, the titles, to execute those agreements. But by the purchase of the property with the budget that's been allotted to.
Same thing, let's do motion approval of discussion.
Motion to approve.
Decker, who seconds? Meadow seconds. Discussion to follow. In terms of the two types of easements, both those will be in play as well as purchasing property from owners. So it's kind of like two types of easement.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on the property, depends on what you need, right? Some properties will need all three. Some of them we need just one, some of them we need two, right? So it depends on the improvements that are made and what is required.
So let's look at timelines on this. If say it all goes according to plan in terms of property acquisition, easements, people signing off and so forth. When do we think this would actually occur?
So we have budgeted, we have scheduled, but we have budgeted 1 year for property acquisition, which is pretty typical. In fact, we have to have it done in a year. We have what they call plan specification and estimate date, PS&E date with WISTA. I believe it's November of 25, in which all this stuff has to be signed off on and agreed. So the anticipated construction is probably starting in March, April of 26,
Okay,
and going through the 26 construction season.
okay.
Primarily, 2025 will be some design touch-ups, that we'll call them. But the primary focus of 2025 will be property acquisition.
So the clock's ticking right now. We want to basically start it now and by this time next year. Finish.
For property acquisition.
Acquisition.
Yes, yes. That's why when you asked the meeting times, that was one of the things that we were talking internally, like we need to get this going. So it kind of.
Good. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you.
The next one is a resolution to approve a IGA, or intergovernmental agreement between Kenosha County and the Village of Twin Lakes for stormwater maintenance and timelines. This has to do with, I believe, and I wasn't here, but I think it was built in 23, County Truck Highway EM from the state line, in Twin Lakes. Part of that project included some, storm sewer improvements that were included in the project, funded by Twin Lakes. But what we now wanted to do was get an agreement between Twin Lakes and Kenosha County, so we knew exactly who owned and maintained which storm sewers. Even though those storm sewers are in-county right of way, they're really for the benefit of the village. And so if that storm sewer needs cleaning or needs some maintenance or something, that the village will be responsible for that, not the county. So what this does is it lays out which sections of storm sewers the county is responsible for, and which storm sewers the village is responsible for. The village has already agreed to this MOU. So you will see in the packet that the Village of Twin Lakes has already signed off on it. Obviously, we can't sign off until it's approved. But we would recommend approval.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Belsky, Decker, in that order for motion and approval. Discussion on this. Supervisor Belsky.
Are you going to be setting up a timeline or plan with the village for future forecasts, repairs and maintenance?
At this point, they own most of, like, the big storm sewers that are like the basins are owned by
But we
them.
still have some, right?
What's that? We have none.
None?
All we really have are the cross culverts that are connected.
Okay,
So
so we're
we're,
good.
we'll take it.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna dictate them how to own and maintain.
Just I wanted to know,
Yeah,
our responsibility.
I do primarily cross culverts.
Okay, and is that something that'll still be put on a schedule to check?
Yeah, our team looks at them. I can't say they look at them every year, but operations team, they're always looking at culverts. We've got an inspection that they go through probably every 2 to 3 years. We're
So
hoping-
stay in front of it.
Yeah, they should all be brand new. That was
Okay,
part of the project, is that they would replace new, so we're hoping we'll get a couple of years out of them before to dig up a new road.
okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, it's funny how that works. You get a project completed and it needs to be dug up for some other reason issues.
Mhm.
Counterproductive, we're not in that phase. Any further discussion on this particular point? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passed unanimously. Thank you.
I'll just I do have my division report here. I'll kind of go through it somewhat quickly. The jurisdictional transfer of County Truck BD, which was formerly 75 and State Highway 195, formerly KR, was officially enacted November 15th. So I believe all the signage on 195 is completed except for some. They are going to be working on the signage for BD in the next couple of weeks. If you go into Racine County, you will see some BD signs. So Racine County did get in front of theirs a little bit quicker than we did, which is fine. But we are starting to work on our BD signage. So that's been enacted. As Chairperson Grady did mention, the speed limit of State Highway 32 Sheridan Road from KR/195 to Carthage College was revised from 45 miles an hour to 35 miles per hour as of November 18th. Kind of a little jurisdictional transfer that I forgot to put in here that actually happened yesterday. Back in 2019, there was a jurisdictional transfer agreement for County Truck Highway H from 65th Street to 52nd Street. 52nd Street is Highway 158. 65th Street is that newest signal there that goes in like the Peterson's neighborhood. That, as of yesterday, is now City of.
Oh, okay.
There is an agreement for 2035 that the City of Kenosha will take H from 158 all the way up to S. But that's an agreement that's already in place, but that is until 2035. We're a long ways away, but this one, based off timing, happened yesterday. As far as what our crews have done, we've done a lot of paving this year. I didn't list all of them, but obviously all of our paving work has been completed. We've had a very successful year in paving different county roadways, resurfacing county roadways. We did a bunch of culvert replacements. So again, very successful year, but we're definitely transitioning out of that stage of maintenance. For us, state highways that we're working on, again, foam jacking, on 94, some ramp repairs. We did some repairs at the Traffic Information Center, just a lot of different things. Last couple of months, last month or so, we've been doing a lot of preparation for the winter operations, getting trucks ready. We are ready, we're ready, still not ready. Obviously, we did have the one minor snow event last Thursday. Overall, it went well, always some hiccups, never gonna be perfect, but had some new staff too, so it was a good first snow event for new staff getting into learning some of their values. So, the County Truck Highway L project, is completed now, so that is done. There's some minor punch list stuff on that, but it's open and for the most part. County Truck Highway KD radar signs, we opened those bids last Wednesday, looking for a request to award, probably install those in winter of this year. County Truck Highway W, just to put a bow on it, is done. The last time I had it, it was still under construction. So County Truck Highway, State Highway 50 by W and the railroad tracks is done. Staffing, we hired 2 new highway patrol workers in the last week. We have a new mechanic anticipated to start in next week. Internal promotion, some of you may know Doug Coyle, who has been with the county now for, I think 2000, well, no, been like 7-8 years. We had an opening for senior transportation engineer with the departure of Tommy. So we're pleased to announce that we promoted him to the senior transportation engineer position from the civil engineer position. A recognition well deserved for that.
Wonderful.
Yes, I left a lot of that.
We left it on the same day.
Well, then Tommy left about the same time.
Oh, okay. So I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no. So we've had 2 resignations or separations since the last report. So currently open positions, we have 1 civil engineer, which is Doug's replacement, 1 mechanic and 4 patrol workers. Continue to interview, continue to post those jobs. And Monday, December 2nd, is Snowplow Appreciation Day. So be here to appreciate your snowplow drivers on Monday.
Hopefully we get the day and not have the.
Yeah, hopefully the appreciation is they get to sit, they don't have to sit at the plow truck for 16 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be the appreciation they would appreciate. And that's all I have.
Questions for our director? Did you even have, salt being spread on this last snow event we had?
Absolutely, yeah. So we heard that we did not, but we did. We did have all 44 trucks out, studying. We had some studying at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, kind of doing some bridges and overpasses. By 6 o'clock, we had a full crew out there salting those areas that needed to be salted and putting salt. So
Good.
Yeah, I did not check my county email, but I have requested Kenosha Sheriff's Department to provide us with an update on the enforcement efforts along State Highway 32. Did anything come up?
it did get, it came and I printed it off. And I'm embarrassed to say this in front of a eye doctor, but it came in too small, I can't read it.
So I will make sure that's forwarded to all committee members, so you have an idea of what the enforcement efforts have been done down State Highway 32 this time. Thing we're hoping we can turn successful in the sense that the 2 travel lanes in each direction are maintained rather than reducing it to 1 travel lane in each direction. So
There's been more accidents though. I've been watching.
I would hope. But I would say from when I've been traveling it, by and large, the motoring public is paying attention. We're not seeing the rates of speed we've seen previously. Seems to be. Okay. Anything else for our director of highways? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Anything else on our agenda?
Chris.
This is Michelle.
Mr. Michelle.
Yeah, she did actually have 2 comments. She was asked kind of to give a status on the human services building in regards to percentage complete. There's no way to do that other than kind of taking the financial aspect of how we've been doing the pay ups, which could be skewed. I mean, interior could be more than exterior or vice versa. We could buy things in advance, but any other guess outside of that is just kind of an educated guess. So the only way to kind of keep it consistent and quantifiable, they use the pay apps, which is the graphs that you guys get every month. For our latest one, we're at about 23-25% completed via pay apps. So that's the status on that. If weather plays nice, we're still hoping to target like June, July for the movement of 26. And then she had made a comment that it's just kind of coincidence that we had a traffic study plan here, but she said that Crash Responder Safety Week, I believe is this week. She didn't say if it was this or last. I think it's this week, where DPW took part reminding drivers to slow down and move over, and Kenosha County Executive Proclamation for Crash Responder Safety Week.
It was last week. I had the copy of the proclamation, but the committee around, because I forgot to bring it here.
And those were her comments. If there's any questions, I can possibly help.
Questions on any of those items?
Motion to adjourn.
Second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
Baby walk.